Behind the peaceful exterior of Southampton, England, lurked a dark and twisted tale of tragedy. As the story unfolds, it becomes a heart-wrenching tale of how things can spiral out of control and lead to a catastrophic chain of events. Unfortunately for Hannah Foster, she fell into a similar hole and lost her life to someone who wasn't even conscious of who they were at the time. This is the story of Hannah Foster, a young teenage girl who came under the brutality of her killer. Did Hannah's murderer meet justice? Why did it take so long to catch the killer? Hannah Claire Foster was born on August 31st, 1985 in Southampton, England, to Trevor and Hilary Foster. She was a wonderful daughter to both of her parents and a great sister to Sarah. Hannah had finished her A-levels and intended to pursue her education in the medical field. She was a bright and talented teenager. She was a firm believer in working hard and attaining her objectives. Hannah had set herself the goal of becoming a doctor. Her teachers complimented her intelligence and felt she could accomplish anything in life. Hannah was a cheerful and friendly girl who was well liked by all. She was looking forward to a happy and bright future, but life had other plans for her. Hannah had planned to go out with her friend Helen on Friday, March 14, 2003, just like any other teenager. They decided to go to a nearby bar called The Hobbit for a drink. The night appeared to be going well, and the two friends were even seen on CCTV footage leaving the bar. Hannah dropped Helen off at a bus station around 11 p.m. The girls said their goodbyes, unaware that it would be their last encounter. After dropping Helen off at the bus stop, Hannah made her way back to her own house. Her house was only half a mile away, so she decided to walk, but that quick walk turned out to be one of the longest. The next day arrived quickly. It was 5 a.m., but Hannah still hadn't returned home. Her parents grew concerned. They texted her, but received no response. Hannah was not the kind of young lady to put her parents on hold through text. She always made sure to inform her parents of her plans, but because she wasn't answering this time, it was evident that something was wrong. Then it was mid-morning, and Hannah still hadn't returned home. Her parents' concern only grew, and they called 911 for help. The cops were quick to respond, and their first port of contact was Hannah's phone. Fortunately, Hannah's phone was turned on, and every time her parents texted or called her, it pinged off several different places. The cops started connecting the dots to figure out where she was. The true worry began when authorities discovered that a 999 call had been placed from her phone. When the call was connected, it was sent to an automated system since the operator couldn't hear anything on the other end. Not only that, but her phone was moving quickly from one location to another, leading cops to believe that she was in a car. This was further supported when they played and improved the detail on the call to 999, which lasted just a minute. The cops were able to determine that Hannah was not in a typical size car, but rather a bigger one after hearing the audio. They even noticed the voice of a masculine individual with a South Asian accent, and he was ordering Hannah to keep her head down. Hannah's phone had been bouncing between Southampton and Portsmouth early on March 15th. The phone eventually came to a halt somewhere around Portsmouth. Hannah's corpse was discovered after 24 hours on Ellington Lane on the outskirts of Southampton, thanks to mobile phone towers and a thorough search of every comparable site. After further examination, it was discovered that Hannah had been raped and then strangled. The detectives discovered semen on her clothes, which they sent for testing in the National DNA database. However, it did not match anyone after testing. Only a day after her body was discovered, investigators found Hannah's mobile phone and bag in a recycling factory in Portsmouth. After the authorities discovered Hannah's corpse and belongings, they began hunting for the true monster responsible for this heinous act. The police checked the CCTV video alongside the mobile phone tower data, believing that Hannah's killer was associated with one of just 7 vehicles. Their search was soon fruitful when they discovered the man they were looking for. The man the authorities were seeking was a 41-year-old Indian immigrant. Maninda Pal Singh Kohli was his name. Kohli was also living in Southampton. He was married with 2 children. He was a sandwich delivery driver for Hazelwood Food. Using these specifics, the Crime Watch issued an appeal requesting assistance with any information on the vehicles, times, or place. After reviewing the report, a supervisor at Hazelwood Foods phoned the police to express his concerns about Kohli. According to him, Kohli's delivery route was consistent with the same region. He even informed them that the next day, March 15th, when he returned to work, he had a scar on his face and left work early because, as per him, he had a bad back. After obtaining this information, the cops lost no time in running his information. They discovered that Coley's name was associated with one of the vehicles they were looking for. Hannah's phone was located in Hampshire by cell tower blocks. The CCTV footage also showed Coley's vehicle driving down the highway. It also revealed that he came to a halt at the recycling center at the time Hannah's phone stopped moving. When the cops seized his vehicle, they examined it and learned the horrors of that night. They discovered blood and semen in the rear of the vehicle. When that was tested, it matched the one found on Hannah's clothing. According to the police, Coley was now the lone suspect in this case. So on March 18th, they made their way to his house. However, when they arrived, they discovered something utterly unexpected. When the police arrived at Coley's residence, they discovered that it was absolutely vacant. Coley was nowhere to be seen. When the officers questioned his whereabouts, his wife told them that he had returned back to India to see his ailing mother and was unsure when he would come home. The UK police attempted to contact the Indian police on Hannah's case, but they did not receive any response, and the case was put on hold for more than a year. The police suspected Coley's family was trying to hide him or was financially supporting the police. This was until Coley's father came forward to the public and stated if his son had indeed committed this crime, he should face the consequences, and even told the press that he would never shield his son from the wrongdoing. Hannah's parents flew all the way to India personally in July of 2004. They were determined to track down Coley. Their impassioned appeals reached nearly 1 billion people in an attempt to uncover their daughter's killer. They were only in India for 10 days, but during that time, they established a phone hotline for anyone having information on Coley. They even held news briefings, begging everyone to assist in finding the dangerous individual who was a threat to many other people's lives. Hannah's case gained prominence when a 5 million rupee reward was offered to anyone who could tell them where Coley was. Not long after that, the police received a call from a cab driver who had driven Coley. He informed the police that Coley told him he was from the UK and he worked as a delivery driver there, and his name was Mike. Coley had totally changed his identity and even married another woman. Then on July 28, 2004, Coley came forward and admitted that he had committed the terrible act that night. In his interview, he stated that he was severely drunk that night, and when he saw Hannah going down the street, he couldn't stop himself and pushed her into his van. And after committing the heinous crime, he killed her because, according to him, he had no other choice because Hannah refused to promise not to report him to the authorities. After disclosing every detail of that night, he then retracted his statement and claimed he was pressured to say it all. He was arrested and kept in New Delhi for the longest duration. Meanwhile, Hannah's parents squandered their time waiting for word on Coley's extradition to the UK so that justice could be served. However, in New Delhi, the matter went through 100 court sessions and was appealed 35 times. Finally, in June of 2007, after a 3-year wait, the court ordered his extradition back to the UK. As soon as Coley arrived at Heathrow, authorities were waiting for him. And on July 28th, he was arrested and formally charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, rape, murder, and preventing the course of justice. Coley pleaded not guilty in court, despite agreeing to committing the crime. So his trial at the Winchester Crown Court began in October 2008. Coley later revised his story, claiming he had never planned to rape Hannah and was forced to do so by a group of criminals. However, his pleas of innocence were useless, and he was found guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 24 years. After 5 long years of struggle, from filing a case to going to another country to find their daughter's killer, Hannah's parents finally received the long-awaited justice. Thank you for watching True Crime Prime. Kindly subscribe to our channel and remember to like, share, and comment.